Well, hi guys, it's Friday night and it's cheat day. I'm eating some Ben and Jerry's and welcome to a video on how I went from in real good shape to getting very fat. Someone asked me, there's lots of videos out there on how to get into shape, but a lot of people that get into shape are scared to death of getting back out of shape again. So they wanted me to detail how I went from like sub 10% body fat with really good lean mass, doing bodybuilding, powerlifting, how I then got into really bad shape again, and what kind of things I was doing at the time, how long that took, etc. Probably because they don't want to fall into the same trap. So you can get away with this for one night of the week, but there's certain things you're not going to get away with, and I'm going to talk about them now. Hi guys, I hope you're all well. Someone wrote into the comments, as you've probably just seen from the intro, and asked me how on earth I got so overweight after being in really good shape. And for those of you that haven't seen any of the videos I did on, getting back into shape after being out of it, a brief rundown on that. I was very fat as a child. When I got into my later teenage years, I started training really seriously, got into very good shape in my early 20s. Got down into sort of at my best I was like 4 or 5% body fat, very muscular. I was weighing in at about 100 kilos, about 5% body fat, looking pretty good. I was competing in powerlifting competitions, so I was strong. I had some decent numbers on my bench and dead and squat. I was benching about 160, 170. Squatting about 300, dead in about 300, so decent numbers. And then a bit later on, I got incredibly out of shape and I ballooned out to just over a 40-inch waist and I looked like an absolute chubster. So someone asked, how did that happen? And they said, which I can relate to, they were like, I'm scared, because I've been fat, they said, and now I'm really worried. Now I've got back into shape that I'm going to go back to being fat again. And, what was it you did to get out of shape and get back to being fat? So that's kind of the opposite to what most people do in these videos. And I had to think and I thought, yeah, that makes sense to talk about that because it's something I kind of worry about as well. And I'm often looking down at myself and looking at my body fat and jumping on scales, looking at my body fat percentage on these measurement scales I've got, and thinking, oh God, I don't want to get back into bad shape. It's probably one of my biggest fears now. One of the reasons I got back into good shape, I remember having a dream one night and I was really out of shape at this point. I was feeling very ill. I had a number of health problems relating to being overweight and eating a terrible diet. And I had this dream that I was in the gym and doing all these chin-ups and I was in really good shape. And then when I woke up from that dream, I was utterly disappointed in myself that I hadn't kept that up and I was still a mess. And now I kind of have the opposite dream, that sometimes I dream that I'm back to being a mess again and super overweight. So I got a back injury while I was training. I was doing this powerlifting and I got a really serious back injury. I compressed 2 parts of my spine, one quite way up, near the neck, and one further down at the base of the spine. At the time, the injury was insufferable. It was so bad, I couldn't even move my left arm properly. I couldn't lift anything up. I literally couldn't pick a kettle up and make a cup of tea. So it was pretty bad, and I was laid out for a few weeks, pretty much not being able to do anything. And then after that, I could continue about with normal life, but nothing like I'd been doing in the gym. I kept going to the gym and I kept training and kept doing what I could. And I did start getting mobility back and I started getting some strength back, but I'd gone from like benching 160, 170 overnight to literally getting back to like 10 kilos with this hand, So it was terrible. Really disconcerting, and I'm a very competitive guy. I like to be good at things, and to be honest, the psychology of that was what ruined me. I was so caught up in being like high level that I couldn't come to terms with the fact that I would just go down the gym and be, less than average. And my ego got the better of me, and I just slowly stopped going to the gym because I just couldn't get down there and be sort of competitive, or at least I thought I couldn't. So I stopped going down the gym. I was doing a bit of fight training at the time. I was doing some MMA stuff and some boxing. That was causing me a lot of elbow problems, and I actually ended up with bursitis in both elbows, and they were like swelled up like golf balls. So I had to stop doing a lot of that as well. And I just became so disheartened with training. At the same time, I moved to my defense job. That's where I changed up jobs, went from working in the security industry over to defense. And I thought, well, I'm going to throw myself into this new job, and that's going to be my new thing. And I just stopped going to the gym. When I moved, I did start going to the gym a little bit when I moved up to the new county and the new house. And then I just fell out of it because I was busy with work, and I told myself, hey, you're getting older, you're in your 40s, you don't need to be in good shape. You can sort of achieve some really good things at work, and that will be enough for you. And I started drinking beer, which I hadn't done for years and years and years, because of course I was meeting people at work, and I was thinking, well, we'll have a few beers. I started to enjoy IPAs, started going out for meals, realised, I found my love of pizzas and takeaways again. And before I knew it, I'd gone from training every day and eating a very regimented and healthy diet to basically eating whatever I wanted, drinking beer whenever I wanted, obviously not at work, but, in my time off. And I was never like drinking obscene amounts of beer, but certainly having enough that it had a calorific input that was way beyond what I actually needed. And the biggest problem with beer for me was actually when I drink some beer, I then crave food. I like nothing more than to drink a few beers and then to eat like a load of pizza and a big portion of chips. And when you've had beer, it does something to your system that you can just eat loads and loads and loads. So you could literally eat like an extra large pizza and 3 portions of chips, and you'd feel that you could still eat a bit more. So that was shocking for me, and if you've had a few beers, you also don't care that you're eating all that crap, because it kind of takes away the concern part of your brain, and you just think, oh, well, I'm having a good time, I'll worry about that tomorrow. And that was a regular thing, at the weekends. I used to have blowout meals and have a few beers, and that would sort of roll from Friday night. And then Saturday night, you feel a bit sorry for yourself. And instead of going down the gym and kind of training it off, I think, oh, you know what, tonight I'll have a few beers. And I was working hard all week, so I felt like I deserved it. And then, of course, you have the pizza or the toasted cheese sandwiches or whatever you're going to do. And then pretty much the same, Sunday would come around, big Sunday lunch, a couple of beers in the afternoon down the local village pub, because everyone was down there talking about what was going on in the village. And then before you know it, you're having some more rubbish in the evening because you can't be bothered to make anything. And that would then start bleeding into the week. So instead of Monday thinking, right, I'm going to get down the gym, I'm going to sort myself out, Monday, you feel so rubbish from the weekend where all you've done is eat junk and drink some beers. So then Monday you think to yourself, oh, you know what? It's Monday. I've been back at work. It's a miserable day. Let's get a takeaway pizza. So that started to happen. We'd start getting takeaways on a Monday night to kind of cheer ourselves up because Mondays are miserable. And then that would bleed into sort of Tuesday. And every single day I would find myself giving myself rewards for just basic behaviour. So I think I've worked all day, I deserve a reward. And that reward would be calorie dense food. Oh, we're halfway through the week. And it's like an addiction. Your brain plays tricks on you. You start telling yourself that you deserve this stuff. It's a Wednesday. I've got halfway through the week. Oh, I'll go and get some fish and chips. Thursday comes. Hey, we're one day away from Friday. Let's celebrate and have, a big bar of chocolate and go down the shop and get a big bar of chocolate. And the late night local shop was a killer because me and the missus would sit there and think, oh, it's Thursday night or whatever, we'd sit there watching something inane on television because I wasn't occupying myself with positive things after work. I didn't have any really good hobbies at the time. So especially if it was winter time, I'm sat there watching a load of junk on telly, and then we'd think, oh, this is a bit boring. Oh, well, I'll pop down the shop and, get us some chocolate or something as a treat. Then it's Friday again. Out comes the beer on a Friday evening, and we're going to repeat that cycle all over again. So now I'm in a cycle of just treats every day. At work, I would get halfway through the day at work, and generally at work, someone would have bought in cakes or biscuits, or there would be some naughty food knocking about. Often I'd got into the situation where I wasn't pre-cooking anything the day before to take to work. So I would then have to go to the local shop, which is an absolute killer, guys. If you want to get into good shape and you want to eat healthily, do not ever think that you're going to do that by popping down the local shop at lunchtime when you're at work, because you're going to come back with a meal deal and it's going to be a rubbishy white bread sandwich with a load of rubbish filling in it and a chocolate bar and a bag of crisps. Whatever you get, none of that's good. And you kid yourself that because you're having an orange juice with it, that's healthy, and it isn't. It's just a big load of sugar. So even the stuff I was eating at work was junk. And my whole attitude, which was basically a lazy attitude, an irresponsible, lazy attitude towards my own health, was washing over everything. It was shaping everything I did, that I wasn't pre-cooking my food. I wasn't cooking healthy meals. I wasn't taking responsibility for my health and going to a gym, and that just snowballed and snowballed. And before I knew it, I was literally surfing on one dopamine hit to the next, because that's what it's all about. That you feel like rubbish because you've been eating and drinking and, living a rubbish lifestyle. And so all you can do is surf on these dopamine hits one after the other. And how are you going to get those? Well, you're going to eat rubbish. You're going to drink some rubbish. You're just going to look for anything that you feel is a reward. And without those rewards, life feels pretty meaningless because you've got nothing else going on if you're not doing anything with your life. That went on for ages, and like I say, I ended up having this dream one night. I'd had some health problems, like I had skin rashes all over the place. I started being tested to see if I was diabetic because I was getting headaches and waking up in the night and having all kinds of problems. My vision was a bit funny. I get blurry vision, so I was going for a vision test. So I was kind of leaning towards thinking I might be diabetic because I was leading this bad food lifestyle. And at that point, that was my rock bottom, I guess, that I just thought, what are you doing with your life? That you're wasting your life. You could not drink, not eat junk food, make sure you take responsibility to go out to a gym every single day or do some sort of exercise, or work in that if I was having a rest day, it was a scheduled rest day for a productive reason, i.e. to give my body time to recover from the hard work I was doing. And that's exactly what I did. And just as much as it was easy for me to slip into the bad habits and start eating rubbish and doing all that kind of stuff, it was just as easy for me to slip into the good habits, pre-cook all my food. And, if I was pre-cooking my food the evening before for the next day, guess what that meant? It meant I wasn't sitting around on my butt with nothing to do, thinking, shall I go to the shop and buy some chocolate? Now I didn't have time to go to the shop and buy some chocolate because I'm busy marinating some chicken and putting it in the air fryer and getting some rice cooked and whatever else it was I was preparing for the next day and making my porridge for the next morning, and then jumping on an exercise bike to do half an hour of cardio, then quickly jumping in the shower and oh my God, it's bedtime, I've got to go to bed because I'm absolutely worn out. So I eradicated the kind of bit where I would get bored and want to do naughty things by just taking that time up with preparation for my next day's eating and leading a healthy lifestyle. So you'll find that gets fairly easy to fall into, and that it won't take you long, that you won't sort of miss that stuff, because a lot of it's just born out of laziness. It's not born out of any sort of necessity. It's just being lazy, nothing else on your mind, and then you start doing that. And once I got fitter and my brain started becoming more active because I was keeping myself busy and I was feeling a lot sharper, I was eating a really healthy diet. And I think that really, really ignited my thought process. And then I started having so much more input at work. I started having more input on things I could do at home. I started up this YouTube channel, and my whole life changed at that point out. So I don't foresee that I'm going to fall back into my old ways. My worst fear is getting injured, so I'm very careful, how I train nowadays, because getting injured could definitely impact my ability to train. And of course, without training, you are quite likely to start looking in worse shape. But I think even if that happened, I definitely wouldn't let the diet slip. I wouldn't just go back into sedentary mode feeling sorry for myself, because I've experienced both things. And I never want to experience feeling like that again. And I don't want to have to spend the 6 months to a year climbing back up that hill to, a reasonably decent body and a decent physique and a decent amount of strength, etc. I don't want to repeat that again. So the honest opinion from my perspective, no one gets fat accidentally. None of us are going to kind of take a week's holiday and then come back and find we're obese. That can't happen. It takes a long time, and you have to make an effort to kind of get fatter. I made the effort by literally checking out of fitness and healthy eating. And I made that decision and thought, you know what, I'm done with it all. I couldn't be bothered. And that was the wrong decision, obviously. But my point being, it's not going to happen by accident. So if you're worried about getting out of shape, you're going to have plenty of time to realise that you could get out of shape, because if it's been 3 weeks since you've been to the gym, you're still not going to look out of shape. You'll still look pretty good. Get yourself back in the gym, get yourself on the running machine at home, or, the bike at home, whatever it is, go for a run on the pavement. Just start doing it again. It isn't too late. When it will be too late is 6 months to a year down the line, and you've got really out of shape and you've ignored all those warning factors. So if you're worried about that, guys, don't worry. Just keep on top of it. If you've been out of the game for a couple of weeks, get back in it. Don't let that fester and keep building and building and building to months on end, because that's where it gets difficult to start dialing it back again. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Have a great evening. I'm sure you will. I'm having a good evening because it was, in fact, cheat day, as you saw at the beginning. I loved my ice cream, but then tomorrow it's Saturday. I'm back as normal to my training regime. I'll be going down the gym, training chest. I'll be jumping on a cardio bike at home a bit later and smashing about an hour and a half's worth of cardio. So there's plenty of time to enjoy yourself and to also get fit as well. Thanks a lot. Take care. Catch you all soon.